welcome to the Heartful Parent Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Keating. In this podcast, we talk about it all, our parenting, our partnering, and our professional lives, because they are all a part of us, and we were never meant to do this alone. Hello, and welcome back to the Heartful Parent Podcast, everyone. I have something kind of unique and different and a fun, special little treat today for you. Obviously, in this podcast, we talk about all aspects of our lives as parents, but for those of you who have been listening for any period of time, we often focus on the relationships and, how we can parent differently or how we can keep our kids safer. And what we're going to dive into today is a little bit different because it's about our spaces, our relationships with our spaces, and how that is impacting everything else. And the way that we're going to do that is with my guest, Patricia Lohan, who is a Feng Shui expert. And I have to acknowledge and admit that when Patricia reached out to me and said, I've been listening to the podcast, love what you're doing, would love to share this information about Feng Shui, I was like, I don't know. I got to think about that and think about, how and if that will resonate with all of you. And I had the chance to meet Patricia, her energy is so warm. She's from Ireland. She's got a fabulous Irish accent. And I just really was interested and fascinated by what she was sharing with me and telling me. And I thought, you know what? I actually think this is perfect for the podcast because we are not just in relationship with our partners or our children or extended family. We are, in fact, in relationship with our spaces, our homes, and so are our children. And if there are ways that those spaces are impacting us or our kids, we should think about that and talk about it. So let me tell you just a little bit more about Patricia, and then we'll dive into our conversation. As I said, she's a Feng Shui expert. She's also a speaker and an author. She calls herself a manifesting magnet, alchemist, healer, and real-life Irish Celtic shaman. Some people call her the Mary Poppins of prosperity. Patricia is the creator of Powerhouse Feng Shui and the author of The Happy Home, a guide to creating a happy, healthy, wealthy life, and become a business powerhouse using Feng Shui. She helps parents make their homes and businesses magnetic to money, luck, and blessings. She shows you what they don't teach in business school, what lies between the lines, and your top secret tool for success. She has helped thousands of people across the globe embrace Feng Shui and creates lasting changes in their businesses, homes, and lives. Patricia has seen firsthand the power of the mind, surroundings, and inner healing, clearing and aligning everything so that it works holistically. She loves entrepreneurship with 15 years of experience running and growing 3 successful startups of her own. And she's been featured in media around the world, including the New York Times, CNN, Fox, Forbes, the New York Post. She knows, Essence, Mind, Body, Green, USA Today, Elephant Journal, etc., etc. Patricia is, as I said, she's warm and knowledgeable. And I think you all are going to be fascinated with this conversation. And it may just open up some ideas, some curiosity. And that's what the Heartful Parent Podcast is about. Let's lean in with curiosity. Without further ado, Patricia Lohan. Patricia, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here and to get to share with yourself and your community.
Well, I'm thrilled as well. And I know you and I had intended to have this conversation a little bit earlier, and my own life sort of didn't allow for that. So I've been really looking forward to this. I want to sort of jump in at the beginning with some basics for folks.
Yeah, sure.
And have you share with us a little bit about, well, really 2 things. 1, what is Feng Shui? And 2, how in the world did this become sort of your focus?
Yeah, so Feng Shui is the art of creating a harmonious and healthy home. So when you translate this characters, the Chinese characters, it's for good health and good harvest. So the harvest, this practice is 5,000 years old, and it was divined when people really were very conscious about where they would build and plot their homes, and it had evolved into a practice where buildings are not built as, like, I suppose, conscientiously or as like mindfully, and the energies can be not as helpful as possible when you are living in them. And the idea is, when it comes to feng shui, is actually just around bringing more balance and harmony into the house. So how did I get into it? I have been into feng shui since I was about 15, and basically I was in a house where we moved house 22 times. So my family and I moved house 22 times.
Wow.
And by the time I was 16, we had moved into one of this is it. We're definitely moving. We're not leaving this one. And basically, that house, when we moved in, it was one where, where my friends would come over and go, "You get to live here." It was like out of a magazine. It was super beautiful. It was aesthetically amazing. My parents' business was doing really well, but everything started to go wrong from a health perspective, from relationship perspective, from legal things. It was just like, all of your worst nightmares coming into fruition in this one house that had never really happened before. So it was really strange. Now, at 16, 15, 16, I didn't understand feng shui. I don't know how I heard about it, but I did. And I asked for books about it. I was like, I want books about this for Christmas. So I got these books. I was reading it. I was doing feng shui in my house, doing things in my own bedroom. Like, my family were like, what is she at? But they just kind of let me off. And essentially, we ended up hiring a feng shui consultant. I was like, we need help in this house. So I found someone to come and help them in the home. She also came and feng shui their business. And that was the start for me. I was like hooked into this practice. And I really believe that I'm seeing a big shift for us. And when I then continued into my normal career, I was studied business. I was going to work in an office, but I ended up quitting everything, moving to India and becoming a yoga teacher. And that led me to working with children on the spectrum, and with all different, mostly kids who just weren't able to settle. And I was doing a lot of work with children, and I absolutely loved it. I was doing sound therapy, I was doing kinesiology, all these different practices. And at the same time, I basically feng shuied my house to call in love, and I met my now husband. So when I met Ken, I came up to this house that he had built, and I was like, he's feng shuied this place. So we both had an affinity for feng shui. And I said to him, I really want to learn more about this practice with the feng shui. Like, I really want to do it. I just don't want like the few pieces out of books and that stuff. And he was like, I've always been interested too. I want to do it. So we both went off and did a training, just for our own interest, to do it for our own house. And basically, when Ken had built this house, he had built it and never had the money to finish it. So we had like concrete floors, borrowed furniture, like it was like completely like empty shell basically that I moved into. And we did the feng shui, and within like a couple of weeks, I literally had a 6-figure windfall. And then obviously we were able to finish our house. We were able to get married. Everyone was like, what just happened? And we just did this feng shui. And then, once I started doing it for our own house and people seeing a shift in literally a shift in our lives, I started working with basically my clients would say, oh, I see you doing the feng shui, come do my house. So I started working in different families' houses, or work, and even in my clients one-to-one, I'd be saying to them, like, tell me about your child's bedroom. What's going on with their bedroom? Tell me, because I'm so conscious of like, yeah, they can come and spend an hour with me and feel good for like a few hours or a few days, or feel a benefit in terms of the impact of sound on their systems. And, there was lots of benefits that we were seeing. They were becoming more calmer, happier. But I was like, imagine if we could do this for their house. And essentially, I've seen research and seen studies done that what we do with feng shui is we're changing the vibration frequency of your house. So it kind of starts to become this space that when you walk in, people go, and children are sleeping better, they're getting on better, relationships are better, everybody is happier. So that kind of, it just happened that like my feng shui started to take over from working with people one to one. And I still do a little bit of that, but I was like really drawn by the impact I could help everybody in the house. So what happens is when we start balancing the house, it's not just like the kids that benefit. It's like the moms are happier, the husbands are getting promotions, the kids are doing better in school. Like literally just the other day, one of our clients, she's like a year in the program and she's like, my 5-year-old who was like struggling in school has gone into school today really confident, and she's stood up to the bullies and she's done this and she's so much more motivated and she's loving school. Like this little girl wouldn't get out of bed.
Wow.
And now she's going and standing up to bullies. And the shift is it direct? Well, the mom has completely changed. Like her energy, her enthusiasm, her focus, everything. She's completely reinvented her space. And her husband got a promotion. That's just one post that I got this week. So that's why when I started, I was like, okay, more moms, more parents need to know about this practice and realize that there could be things happening in their houses that they're like pulling their hair out about. And you're like, you know what? It could just be the house. And it's not like a fundamental issue with your child or with yourself or your parenting. Like if the energy is off, it's off and it's going to impact everybody.
I'm so fascinated by that story. And I feel like there's little pieces I'm like, oh, I want to hear about the moving to India and becoming a yoga teacher and then how that sort of led you into these other pieces. I mean, what a wild ride. And it sounds like a really fun one too.
Amazing. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah. I know for those parents who are listening to this, I mean, the results that you're talking about where this 5-year-old goes from like not getting out of bed to going to school and standing up to the bullies, and husband getting a promotion, or, you getting that 6-figure windfall that you talked about. I mean, that just sounds like too good to be true almost. And so I'd love to hear a little bit, for the people listening who are like, I don't know, I'm skeptical. You mentioned there's like some research about like the energy vibrations, and I just would love to hear more about that. Because I mean, I find the whole thing fascinating. And what is it that our space, like how does the space that we are in, how can it impact those kinds of things?
Well, I suppose, first of all, I'm not here to convert the skeptics. People come to feng shui, they have a kind of sense there's something off with their house. So you could obviously just do a sense of like, wow, have things improved in my life since I moved into this house? Has it actually got better? Has it improved? Most people come into my world, they're like, oh, I've always kind of had an interest in this. There's like a little nudge to it. And if you are a skeptic, that's why I love this practice so much, because it's the people whose partners or their husbands are like the complete skeptics. And then they're like the email the other day was just like, I don't know what you're doing, Barbara, but just like keep doing it. Like the husband is like, just keep doing whatever you're doing. Yeah. And that's a really big me. If it doesn't feel like it resonates with you, that's cool. Just go listen to a different podcast. But for those of you who are interested in energy and just realizing that absolutely everything is an energy, and you may have come across astrology and heard of like having a natal chart done, and an acupuncturist. So like the easiest way for me to describe it is that each and every one of us is born with our body. It has a certain energy. And if we're out of balance or out of whack, you can go to the doctor or you could go to the acupuncturist. You'll go to the acupuncturist. They're going to take your chi. They're going to take what's going on. They're going to look at your tongue, your eyes. They're going to get a whole health checkup of like what's going on. And that's essentially what we do with our clients. But we're looking at like when the house was built, the size of the house, the shape of the house, the location of the house in terms of like on the planet, where are the directions of it. So this is like a 5,000-year-old practice. These amazing, I don't know, astronomers, what are the feng shui experts, diviners, and basically create, like analyze the energetics of different houses, where they're built, the year they're built, under the cycles that they're under. So when someone comes into our world, they'll send us all this information for photos, floor plans. And, if people are struggling in a relationship, I can see. They don't even need to tell me. I'll be able to see like, oh, have you difficulties in your relationship, in your finances? Because the energetics that the house is built with have this. And then it's a mirror, it reflects back in their life. So, there's some houses that are exceptionally good for money. That house that I lived in at 16, I know the now owner. I met him on the street one day and I was like, how are you getting on in that house? He's like, it's a tough one to live in. And I was like, yeah, plenty of money though. Yeah. And he was just like, lots of money. No problem with the money. But if everyone's sick and angry and having legal suits, like what kind of house is that to live in? I
Right.
actually did kind of offer him pro bono services. But again, he's like, I don't know what she's talking about. And I'm like, here, I can help you. Anyways,
Yeah.
so when it comes to the energetics, like we run the numbers and we're able to say like this house is built in this year and this is the impact of the house being built located at this size. Then what it's about is that the acupuncturist is going to put needles in the body to literally balance and harmonize the system. We literally do the exact same thing with houses. We will give recommendations of elements from the traditional Chinese medicine. So it could be like metal element, fire elements, literally like bring some red in here, bring some plants here, bring some earth in here, like bring in the elements of nature into your home. So I started talking about it being about harmony with nature. So essentially, what we're trying to recreate is, if you're on your favorite beach and you're just feeling so blissful and everything is just working in flow, like that's what we're wanting to bring elementally into the house to harmonize it. And when we do that, then everything starts to flow. And that's where we start to see those results. And, those results might feel like, oh my God, way out there. But, we have hundreds of clients. I've worked with thousands of people around the world. So I don't need to be like this. It works. I could send you like, tell me what your ailment is
Yeah.
and I can give you a success story. And they'll hop on a call and talk to you because they're so passionate like about it. So that's where I'm like, try it.
Well, I mean, what resonates so strongly for me is, knowing other than the conversations I've had with you,
Yeah.
before today, know relatively little about Feng Shui,
Mhm.
but I know, and maybe parents listening to this can totally relate. There are times when I come into my home and if the clutter is up or there's things going on, that we just haven't sort of gotten organized or gotten a hold of, my energy is definitely off. Like I can tell that
Mhm.
my stress levels go up when things feel cluttery or messy or disorganized. And I have to imagine that's like
That's like the tip
small,
of the
yeah, like the tip of the
iceberg.
iceberg, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, exactly. And like, so for example, there's like a few things that I feel like I want to just like give you examples of things that you could do in your house. Like, number one, in all your children's rooms, I would recommend having a family photo of your family on the happiest day out. This, please don't take one from like the perfect portrait that is so aesthetically amazing that you just had a big fight beforehand or drama or crying. No, 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 no. Actually, if you have any of those pictures, get rid of them. You don't want anything. You want to be thinking, how do I want my house to feel? And what are the images I'm going to put up in my house that feel and resonate with that? So get a great selfie picture, get it up in your kids' bedrooms to remind them of like, look at us, we have good times together, reminding that and remembering that. No family photos over the fireplace or over the mantle. The fire element,
Tell me why.
the
We have
fire
one. We have
yeah,
one.
I would take the family photos down from over the fireplace. So fire element is, and actually minimize fire element like red in your house. So, but fire element is fire, anger, aggression. Like obviously that's the one part. The other side is passion. But having that kind of energy underneath the family photos is not a good idea. So I don't recommend family photos over the mantelpiece. I would just be like, think of just something that just hasn't got an emotional connection and put something up there that's like some candles are fine or I don't know, abstract piece of art. That's fine, but not your family photos. Bring them to a room where you all want to hang out together and hang them on the wall, that you want to encourage that kind of energy of togetherness. So if you want to spend time together in the study, the living room, like, or that you're like, there's a room, this is where I want us to have really good quality family time together, have the family photos there. And then I would say, like, in terms of when you're like walking into your house, you talked about that touching off. When you walk in, you can feel it. Like I would start like even before you arrive home, like way back, you're like at the grocery store and you're like on your way home, and I want you to like tune in to what's going through your body. Your home can be a sanctuary. Like it's supposed to be a sanctuary. The world is mental.
Yeah.
Outside, it's just like turn off the news. Like all my clients, I'm like, don't listen to the news. Don't bring it into your house. It is toxic. Toxic. Just
It
get rid
is
of it.
toxic.
We don't need it. It's not good for your kids. It's not good for you. But like, this is the thing. It's like we have these four walls that you can create to be a peaceful, harmonious sanctuary. And you have to start feeling it beforehand. And if you're driving up the road and you're not feeling that, you need to be like, okay, I need to start tuning in, getting in the driveway. What am I feeling? Like as I'm walking in, what am I seeing? There's one house I remember driving up, like we do everything virtually now, but I remember driving up the driveway of this house once, getting to the front door. There's like cobwebs all over the door. The welcome mat is all tattered. The welcome sign is actually cracked. And I was like, man, this is really bad, like really bad. And it turns out that they were using the back side door as the entrance. Not only that, the one of their children was sick and had like lots of health issues. And what she had said to me over and over, she's like, our house is like a hospital. Our house is like a hospital. Well, when you walked in that back door, what was the first thing you saw? All the medical equipment, all the bandages, all the stuff. Like, so basically it did. You literally walked in. So it's like, what's the first thing you see? And I was like, please use your front door, like get there, revamp it. I want you to get to your house and be like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be home. Like, this is my sanctuary. This is my safe haven for me and my family. And I want to get excited coming in the front door. I want to feel good. And then when you like open that door and you walk in, like, what is the first thing you see? Is it 500 pairs of shoes and 50 coats? Because if it is, that is, again, that kind of like overwhelmed thing. And this is where you have to kind of go, okay, I need to take control of this space. This is the mouth of your house. It's where the energy comes in. If it's completely overwhelmed, that chi and energy doesn't get to move around and it creates overwhelm in your system. Cortisol levels raise. Then you interact with your child and it's not going to be as friendly, as loving as it should be, Right. So we need to be like really conscious of the impact of the physical environment has on our humor, on our mood, but also on each other. So it's like these points, like, and I really emphasize like friction points around the house. So front door, if it's like hard to open, it means the energy, the mouth, there's no energy coming in, like it's starve. If we were like functioning your body, you would starve. So we want to make sure it's easy to open. It feels welcoming. What can you do with all of that stuff? Is can you get like a shoe rack? Can you just get a basket to put whatever shoes are in? Like this is also about like creating boundaries and teaching everyone in the house, being like, no, like I'm fixing the chi here. We all want to come in, be happy, getting clear, getting rid of the coats and clearing and making sure the door can open fully. And then wondering like this is, and I suppose what's a really big thing and what I always highlight when I talk about that story, because I always talk about it when I talk about the 22 times we moved house. But the house that we moved into was like in the best location, the dream house. And it was perfect. But that is not what feng shui houses are about. It is not about this Instagrammable perfect house. Like, so, you can, and it's about creating a home that when you walk into, you feel like it's giving you a hug. And that, I think there's a huge issue actually for me, this like Pinterest and Instagrammable, these houses, because it creates this societal pressure that is not necessary. Like just get rid of it. Just appreciate that you have a house. I just listened to something today and it's like, if you have food in your fridge, a house to call home and money that you can spend, like you're in the top 75 wealthiest people in the world, we're so blessed. Like if we're having this conversation, we're absolutely blessed. So start to look at your house from a place of like gratitude, like you have a home. How can you like, and it's not about like big financial shifts or changing things. For me, people will say, but my bathroom is really old, or there's something wrong with my kitchen. I'm like, is it working?
Yeah.
If it's working, it's fine. Like, and actually broken things is bad feng shui because that depletes the energy. So no, get things fixed. And those like friction points, if there's doors jamming, if there's leaks, that's like money dripping away, So it's like maintaining your home, like you look after your kids.
Yeah.
It's like looking after it.
I mean, that really resonates with me. And as you're talking, first of all, I really appreciate you saying that this isn't about having those Instagram worthy homes, because the last thing any of us as parents need is this pressure to like have our homes look perfect, and like, the queen could walk in at any point
Yeah.
and feel like, we knew she was coming all along.
Yeah.
Um, and and so that pressure doesn't need to be there. But
No.
what I'm hearing you say, and as I'm sort of like circling back to the beginning of our
Mm.
conversation, and talking about the family with the little girl, it's not that if you put a plant in this corner, it will result in, a promotion. It's that the energy that we're taking from our homes, we then take out into the world. Right? Am I getting that right?
It's a combination. So first of all, the plant, like I've seen clients like literally putting the element in their house and getting like a €3,000 bonus the next day. Like, so I had like the elemental part, like you can't do the acupuncture without the needles. Like they do acupressure now, but like you have to still, put the elements in. Like that is still a part of it. But this is like a higher level. For those of you who haven't kind of got into my world and I'm giving you, this is what you need to put in. It's a synergy, and it's the bigger picture of like your relationship with your home matters. Like, as I say to my own clients, I'm like, yeah, you can put the remedies in, but if you're going around complaining and whinging and, not like looking about your future and feeling good, like it's not going to help. It's not like beneficial. So it's like it's a synergy between you and your home, and you build that relationship by appreciating it, by having the right elements in place. And it's a dance with all of it. And first of all, it's becoming aware and conscious that your environment is impacting you and vice versa.
Yeah.
So when you start become aware of it for so long, like I used to say to my clients, like, and I had like one example of a client, he was like, she was kind of like whinging a bit. And I was like, do you know what? Sit down and just meditate with your home. Just like sit down and meditate with your home. And you know what her home told her? Be patient. I'm working on it. Like, so be patient, be kinder. And a lot of us have, can have like stressful situations that have happened in a house over the years. And I often say to people, just wander around the house and look at the spaces. Like, as I said, Feng Shui is not like about this aesthetic, perfect house. And it's more about flow. It's about things flowing, moving, people getting promotions, people feeling better. It's just like that life moving easily, joyfully. I remember actually being on a podcast interview. This woman said, I've moved into this house 5 years ago and I've been stuck. My salary has literally been stuck at this same level for 5 years. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I was like, well, where, like, we were just looking at her off at her career. I was like, where's your career area? And she's like, oh, where's the north? She's like, oh, it's actually here in my offices. And she turned around, she's like, oh my God, all those boxes, they're there since I moved in 5 years. So like, it's just like things that are stagnant, like that are not moving, that are not changing, is also really important to kind of look at and be like, it's not the dishes on the counter that are bad feng shui, or the laundry room that is like loads. Like the laundry always gets done. The dishes always get done. Like the kids' playroom gets sorted. It gets done mess again. It gets sorted. That's life. That for me, that's all moving. So it's fine. It's more like the cupboard that you just like are afraid to open and haven't touched in like 6 months, a year, 32 years. One of my clients had a bookcase that was filled with books, 32 years. Okay. She's actually, it could have been longer than 32 years because it was there when she moved in. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, wow.
So that hasn't moved. So like, that's where where stagnancy happens, where it can cause this, like this sense of like things not moving and flowing, like, because nothing has changed in the environment.
Right. So, okay. I'm so fascinated. I love this conversation. And I'm, of course, I know most people who are tuning in right now are listening to this, but you and I are on video with one another. Of course, I'm like looking behind me going, what's she going to say about my office? But here's what I'd really love to ask. So I know that you do work with, children's bedrooms. You shared that having a genuine photo from a loving, fun moment in the children's bedrooms can be really helpful. What sort of recommendations for those parents listening who are like, man, I'm really in a rut with my spouse or my partner?
Yeah.
Are there elements that you can routinely or that you do routinely recommend
Oh,
for
for sure.
trying to improve or create more loving, harmonious connections with our partners?
Oh yeah, this is easy. So basically, your bedroom needs to become a zone of rest, romance, and relaxation. That means no kids stuff, no kids photos, no family photos, no friends photos, like all that stuff gone. And the imagery and artwork in the bedroom needs to represent the kind of intimacy and relationship you'd like. So a picture of a couple together, like, it can be, whether you want to be out holding hands, walking on the beach or whatever in Paris, those just a piece of art that represents that. Also a picture of both of you together on a great day. So again, none of these, like, if your wedding day was a day that you both are like, that was the best day ever. Yes. If there is any tinge of anything that was like no, so find a picture that just represents a great time together and bring that in. And get all of, I just think of a couple in New York that I was working with, and they wanted to have a baby. She wanted to conceive, and we went into her bedroom, and I was like, so first of all, who's that? It was like a picture of her grandfather. I was like, get out. We don't want him watching you when you're in bed. No spiritual pictures either. No spiritual pictures in the bedroom. Ideally no altars, and if you do, cover them. But also the other thing that she had that was in their bedroom was like literally there was like her side, his side, and a stack of paperwork like higher than the bed of work files. That work stuff is got to go. So nothing work related. And I don't recommend mobile phones in the bedrooms. I personally don't. I plug it into my office. I walk away from it. Get an alarm clock. Like, make your bedroom a sanctuary. And then clear out anything. Like, I would say, again, it's about harmony and balance. I think of one lady's bedroom. She walked me in and she was like, welcome to my bedroom. And it was like her and her husband's. It was pink. It had like angels all over the place. Like, it was completely designed by her for her. And he didn't have a look in. Like, there was just nothing that was his. And so you want to think more neutral colors, 2 bedside tables, 2 bedside lamps. And, even just like think about like new sheets, like just pimp it up a bit. Like, you want to be able to go into your bedroom and go, and like, and a no kids zone, like no kids. Like, this is really good. I think for me, when it comes to this with kids and with parents, I'm always like, you are teaching your children all the time. Like, if you want them to have good relationships, you need to create it for yourself. You need to create the space for it. And you need to create, like, literally, this is our room.
Gotcha.
Door closed, so that's really important. And I would say also to just like write some intentions about the like how you want to interact, and then maybe and also do it like a bit of a declutter of like stuff. Maybe I remember one lady, we were doing a Zoom call and she showed me a picture outside her bedroom, and it was a picture of her on her own, and no single people pictures, especially if you want to improve your relationship. So just try and get rid of single pictures. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of like women who are in relationship, but they don't feel like they are, or their partner works away a lot because there's a lot of like these singular like ballerinas or women on their own or whatever. So get rid of all of those. But this woman had a picture of a woman on her own as you walk in their bedroom door. And I was like, tell me about that. It was really like gray. And she's like, it's kind of arty. Yeah, my husband took it off me when I was storming off after a big row. That was on the way to their bedroom. I was like, so like for me, the message with all of this is just get conscious about what's in your in your bedroom. Like, does this represent relationship? Like, are we thinking in pairs? Does it represent rest, romance, and relaxation? If not, get rid of it.
Okay, so I have a question about that, and I have to imagine at least somebody out there listening can relate to this. So I have done many of those things. I do have pictures of my children in the bedroom, but one of the things that came into our bedroom, well, I should say one of the things that went out of our bedroom during COVID was my nice little reading nook. We had a chair in the corner and a bookshelf and a, lovely little lamp, and that went out. And what came in, because of space considerations in our home, was a desk and a computer for my husband because he was suddenly working at home. And that has remained because he still works part-time from our home. And so if space is limited and there's not
for sure
anywhere else to put that, when we need a space for multiple purposes that might be at odds with one another, how can we create harmony?
So for something like that, first of all, I would be like, that desk needs to be cleared at the end of the day, like whatever, when it's finished, cleared. If there's a laptop or a computer on it, just cover it. Even just put like an off sign on it. Like, it's about creating clear boundaries, whether you can get one of those little Chinese screens. Like, I've had loads of clients whose offices are in their bedrooms. Like, it's not the end of the world, but it's about creating these clear boundaries. If you're working at your kitchen table, I've had clients literally have like a box. This is all the stuff that goes in your work stuff. And then you pop it away. And then you change the table mats and you put like a candle. So you make it more like loving. So I don't know whether that like could be, then you put another picture of the two of you up, or a paint, something that goes up there to kind of switch it out from bedroom. I've worked with clients in like studio apartments in New York where we flipped their office living room to their bedroom sitting room. Like, it's all about like being like, how can you shift it? Because obviously that is hard to create that boundary, but it is possible. And I've seen it. And it's more just about being really intentional with it. And again, like, how do you switch off? Like, even putting like an off sign. And if you work from home, like I had one girl, Jenny, she wanted to call in love, yet her office door was here and her bedroom door was here. And at the weekend, she's single. Oh, I'll just go in. She's a really successful, busy. I'll just go in and work. And I'm like, no. Like, you need space. So it was like, she got an open and closed sign and hung it on the door and just had this like, I'm closed, close the door. Like, it's just this energetic like thing. So that's what I'd say in terms of boundaries with that.
I love that. And I'm like I actually do have an office in our home, and I am contemplating a closed sign on the outside for the evenings and the weekends. That's fabulous. Patricia, I'm like, I want to know more. And obviously, we have limited time to talk about all of this today. If there were maybe 3 things you could say to parents listening right now, like, here are the 3 things that you could do to start to shift the energy in your home, what would those 3 things be?
Create a more welcoming entrance, get your windows cleaned, and check all your artwork.
Love it. Okay. I mean, I'd never even thought about the type of art in the type of room. I've found things I like, but I've never fully thought about that idea of what fits in what space best and best serves that space. So that's a really, really interesting one. Patricia, I know there are going to be many, many listeners, even the ones who might have started out as skeptics, who are like, I want to know more, right? I want to know more about this. What is the best place? I know you've got a course about this. Intake.
So the best place to come is to patricialohan.com, and there I have access to my mini course, which is $9, and it basically dives into how to get started with Feng Shui, how it works. You can do an analysis of your own house. You'll get like a guide that guides through some steps to take in every area of your life, and dive a bit deeper. So that's at patricialohan.com.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, $9.
I know.
Incredible price for something that could just start to shift the energy. Patricia, thank you so much first of all, for reaching out and saying, hey, this is a conversation worth having. I totally agree. I'm fascinated by it. And I know there are many folks listening right now who are like, this is a really interesting way to think about shifting things in our lives.
Sure.
So thank you for joining us.
Well, you're so welcome. Thank you so much. I hope this was helpful for everybody, and just to really start to connecting with your home and know it can support you in so many ways for yourself and your family.
Yeah. And we will make sure that that your website and all the various places that folks can find you is on our site in the show notes. So if people are interested in that, you can find that there. Patricia, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks a million.
All right, everyone. I didn't say this at the beginning, but we just so happened to be here at the beginning of the Chinese New Year. And so this episode of the podcast felt particularly timely and salient. I hope that as I invited you to in the beginning of this, I hope you were able to lean in with some curiosity, particularly if you are or remain a skeptic about this sort of, the movement of energy in our spaces. I think it's a fascinating way to think about the world around us and how we interact with it. And I know that I am intrigued enough to dig in just a little bit more. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. And as always, should you need any support in your parenting, partnering, or sort of overall lives, you know where you can find me at theheartfulparent.com. You can get information there about the Heartful Parent Academy. Of course, podcast episodes are there and so much more. I look forward to seeing you next week.